So touring bikes have come a long way in the last few years. It used to be that there was the long haul trucker, the Trek 520, but now there are so many good options. And with the popularity of dirt and mixed terrain touring, we are getting bikes that are more suited for that task. In this video, I'm going to review the Panorama Cycles Boreal, which may be one of the best spec'd for actual touring bikes out there on the market. So if you're not familiar, Panorama Cycles is a Canadian company based out of Quebec, and the Boreal is their mixed terrain touring bike, meaning that it can be set up for paved road duty, but is still capable when things get a little dirty. The cost of the frame set is about $1,100 for the derailleur version, and just a little bit under $2,200 for a complete build with cues. And I think in this day and age, for a bike that is actually geared for the task at hand, is pretty good value. The frame and fork is made from Reynolds 520 steel, and it's outfitted with just about every little bike nubbin you can ask for. You've got double eyelets on the fork dropouts, so you can run fenders and a rack. You can run rear racks. It's got 3 sets of bottle cages. It's got top tube mounts. It's got 3 packs on the fork, as well as additional mounting points for a platform rack. Basically, it's got every mounting nubbin you could ever ask for. Other frame features to know about is that it is built around boost spacing. It has a 73mm bottom bracket shell, so more compatible with mountain bike oriented parts rather than road parts. It has sliding dropouts and a frame split, so you can run it with internal geared drives like a roll-off or a pinion. Check out the channel's Slow Spokes for her roll-off build. Like I alluded to, it is available in both a pinion frame set as well as the good old-fashioned derailleur. Because I am a boomer now, apparently, I chose to review the derailleur version. With the pinion version, you can get the C1.12, and you get a respectable 600% gear range. But with the Q's 2x option, my friends, oh boy, you get a whopping 629% gear range. So if maximum gear range and low gears is your bag, I feel like the derailleur version is still hard to beat. Not to mention it saves you some weight as well as some money in your pocket. This particular build is set up with 700 by 50 Mondial tires. A lot of riding we do here in Girona is mixed terrain, so there's a good bit of road and some champagne gravel, some occasional chonk. So the 700 by 50 was perfect for most of the things we rode. That said, it is capable of some bigger meets. The max tire clearance is 29 by 2.8, or if you go 27.5, you can stick a 3-inch tire in there. Getting into the components a bit more, it's one of the more nicely and well-spec'd touring bikes out there. You can tell that the people that chose the parts actually do the thing. It's usually spec'd with the VO Crazy Bar, but they mounted the Velo Orange Sane Bar for me, just so I could put adjustable bar ends and put the bar extenders exactly where I wanted them. The brakes are some SRAM level brakes, and the shifty bits are brought to you by our friends at Shimano Q's. Out of the box, this has to be the most appropriate and well thought out gearing of any adventure touring bike I have ridden. They offer it with a 36-22 double paired to an 11-45 rear cassette, and that yields an incredibly low 13 gear inches. This particular setup is set up with the Q's 4010, and it's running a 40-26 to an 11-45 rear cassette, and that still gets a really low 15 gear inches. Compare that with the Trek 520, which has been kind of the staple touring bike for decades. And even in their current modern triple configuration, I believe you can only get 20 gear inches on the low end. So while many adventure bikes claim to have low gears, this actually has low gears. So if you're riding a lot of double-digit grades with a heavy load, this bike will truly get you up and over. Enough of the specs. How does the bike actually ride? So I took it on a few short overnighters to the coast, as well as some mixed terrain rambles here in Girona. Nothing too extreme, just general dirt roads, a little bit of single track. Loads were fairly light, so not like a full-on expedition camping load. I think the weight I was carrying was around 25 to 30 pounds. And it was distributed in a handlebar bag and small rear panniers on a old man mountain rack. In terms of the geo numbers, the ones that really jump out to me is the extremely long chainstay length at 475 to 480. The head tube angle is 68 degrees and the trail calculates to about 79. The trail is definitely higher than you would see on a typical gravel bike or a road bike, but not as high as you'd see in modern mountain bikes. All that means is that the words that come to mind to describe this bike for me are smooth and stable. The really long wheelbase and long chainstay really make for a comfortable and stable ride. It's sort of like touring in a Cadillac. The higher trail also adds to that sense of stability. It is a sure-footed descender that is predictable and not squirrely at all. The wide Velo orange stain bars also give good leverage and control, letting you counteract any wheel flop tendencies with the high trail and the load. The riding position is fairly upright, so it lends itself to more leisurely tours. However, the addition of bar ends do give you some options to stretch out a bit or hide from the wind. On rolling or flat terrain, it plows through everything with calm and equanimity. Climbing, the low gears give you the ability to sit and spin up literally most everything. On the short tours that we did, I actually never left the big ring of 40 teeth since it was paired with the 11 to 45 in the rear. So this gives you a lot of assurances that when things hit those extended double-digit grades, you'll have plenty of gearing to spin you up the mountain. In general, the Boreal is like a stable and reliable traveling partner, which is something you want on an extended tour in the middle of nowhere. No surprises, and will carry the load without much issue. If there are any downsides, it is when you take it on quicker unloaded rides. The stableness feels too stable. It lacks a bit of playfulness when it's taken out of its element. It's kind of like the friend at the party that won't quite let their hair down. So if you hope to employ it as a do-everything bike, that's something to keep in mind. While it excels at carrying loads in a measured manner on a tour or even a commute, it does lack a bit of playfulness for just normal spirited day rides. Okay, so how does it compare in handling to other bikes you might be looking at? Compared to the Bridge Club, it actually has a similar trail and front end handling, but it is about 35 millimeters longer in the rear. And again, it's gonna feel a lot more stable and secure when compared to something like the Bridge Club. Compared to a bike like the Tumbleweed Prospector, again, similar-ish trail in the upper 70s, but still 14 millimeters longer. You don't really see bikes with much longer chainstays until you get to Rivendell's. Compared to a bike like the Clem, the Boreal has a higher trail. I think the Clem has a trail in the upper 60s, so a little bit more it's a little bit more neutralish handling. And the Clem actually has much longer chainstays, so about 50 millimeter more chainstay length. Compared to a bike like the tried and true long haul trucker, this bike has a little bit higher trail and is about 10 millimeters longer in chainstay length when compared to the Surly. So overall, the Boreal is a well thought out progression of the mixed terrain touring bike. It's the long haul trucker for the gravel generation. I think if this bike was around when we did our big tour around the US, this would have been an easy pick. It's got great stability and out of the box, really, really low gearing. And because of the slacker front end, the wider bars, it's gonna feel a little bit more comfortable on the dirt. But that's what I think of the Boreal. What do you guys think? Is this the spiritual dirt successor for the long haul trucker? Is it the perfect touring bike for the gravel generation? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this review and want to support the channel, the best way to do it is to join us on Patreon. It gives us a budget so we can travel, cover interesting events and some interesting gear, or pick up one of our new hats in the store. Those are still shipping from the US. Apologies, EU viewers. And as always, keep the supple side down.